application. We want to make sure that when we tap this top view here, it hides our top view, but also blurs out our bottom view. So let's go back to our top view. So open our code here. Our top card, I should say. Is it card or view? It is card. Top card. And what we're going to do here is, of course, we're going to bind a few properties here. The reason why I'm binding it is because this card is being called somewhere else. So we're binding so that the view in which this is going to be called will know of the data and variables that we are adding there. So I'm going to say at binding, and I'm going to say var show top card. It's going to be a Boolean. And so that means then I need to add a tap action. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and comment this out. Like the next curly braces there, I'm going to say dot animation first. And I want this to be a spring animation when we start doing our transition. And then I'm going to add a tap action there. So what I want to happen when we tap? Well, first of all, I'm going to toggle the self dot show top card. Say toggle like that. So we go back and forth, right? On and off, false and true, or true and false. What I want to happen actually is that I want to offset our view, meaning I want to move this whole view to the left. That's why we are adding this tap to the entire view. So in this case here, I want the X to move the X direction, the X offset, but I want it to be controlled by, of course, our show top card. So if the show top card is true, we want it to be at 0, okay? Because we want it to show. Else, we want to be at minus 300 to hide it. That's it. So let's save this and give it a run. I think we should be good. Oh, actually now I'm not good because I have to go down here and create a state, right? Ah, there we go. State var show top card. It's a Boolean, which is going to be false. So it's going to be top card like that, and we have to pass a binding variable. So in this case, it's going to be self dot show top card like this. Okay. Now if you run, we shouldn't have any issues, hopefully. And yes, not indeed. So looks like I have this inverted. It's no problem. Let's go back to top card here because I want it to show the moment we open this. So let's see. Actually, let's go back here. This should be true because I want it to be showing at first. There we go. That was the little inversion there. Very good. So it's showing. If I tap, it hides. We can go back and forth. Really, really cool. The next thing we want to do is to attach the same thing inside of our, let's go back here. It's going to be our bottom card. So we're going to go to bottom card. And at the top here, of course, of our bottom card as a property, I'm going to put another binding here. So add binding. And it's going to be var show card. It's going to be a Boolean. Okay. And then that will also drive everything. So what I want to happen, so I'm going to go to the bottom. Let's go close this down. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and comment all of this out. So right at the bottom here, so we have this one, this last one here. I'm going to go say dot animation. And I am going to actually make interactive spring. And here is the blur. I want this to blur, but it has to be controlled by the self.show card, as you can see there. If it's true, if it's showing, then we're gonna blur, right? Else, it's just gonna pass 1. That's all. If we save this and give it a run, yes, we have a problem because we actually have to call and pass in that as well. So at this point here, bottom card, I'm gonna say show card like that, self that, I'm going to pass the same thing, show top card. All right. Okay, we are getting there, folks. This is exciting. Okay, let's try this. Look at that. It blurred out, show, and it's back. course, you can go ahead and play and change all of these different properties that you wish to change, depending on whether the show card is true or not. We can do angles, we can do all sort of things, right? So at this point here, we could also hide this to the right if we wanted to do so. I'll let you work around all of that if you wish to do so. But there we go. We have our interaction working perfectly, right? Now, the last thing we're going to do here, we could leave it as it is right now, but let's just finalize this, is to add an actual food item view as well as a model. So that way we can have different food items so that we put in a loop and then it starts picking up all of the different images. Because right now, if you go to top card, you'll notice that we have our for loop here, but this is just coded in and it's not really the best. So what we need to do is to make it better. Well, the first thing we're going to do is let's create a model class. So I have model there. I'm going to say file. And this one is going to be just a normal Swift class. That's no problem. I'm going to call this food. Okay. So this is going to be the most simplistic item we've ever seen. So I'm going to actually import SwiftUI as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say struct. It's going to be food. And then I'm going to make this identifiable. And I will have to, of course, have an ID. So I'm going to say var ID. I'm going to use the UUID so that the ID is created automatically for us. And for var, I'm going to pass an image. That's all we need, really. And I'm just going to give it something like bready. So for a default image, it's going to be bready as such. Okay, it looks like it's not liking this identifiable. That's good. Maybe we need just to identifiable. There we go. Maybe I had made a few mistakes there. In any case, that's all we need for our model class. And the next thing we're going to create is our actual food item. All right. So I'm going to go to view, new file. It's going to be a SwiftUI file because we're going to have a body and everything. I'm going to call this food item. So for a food item, I'm going to put a Z stack as such. I'm going to say rounded. In fact, this is going to be the same what we already have in our top card here. So I'm going to copy all of this, put it there. Let's go ahead and Command Control I to make sure everything look good. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pass a var data. It's going to be a food type. That way I can populate all of that in there. So at this point here, I can just pass a generic food type here. I can say food, and it's going to be ID. I don't need to pass anything, and just say bready like that. Okay. Very good. So I think I have everything except for our image here. I'm just going to pass whatever we are getting. The data dot image. Okay, that's all good. So now, very simply, top card, and get rid of all of this because we won't need any of that. In fact, all of this Z stack, I'm going to just comment this out. All we have to do now is actually, before we even do that, we need to pass at the top here. I'm going to say at binding, right? Because I have to binding that food. Var food data is going to be array of foods like this. Okay, and then while I'm here, I'm going to go back to our content here. I'm going to paste in some data that we're going to be using in a bit here. Because all of this is going to be in main content view, I'm going to say at state. I'm going to pass that var food data is going to be equal to the data that we have added there. Very good. And it looks like we need to pass a few other things just to make sure. Yes, for our top card here, I'm going to have to pass food data. It's going to be our self dot food data like this. All right, so we'll go back to our top card here. Now we can come down here and do something really cool. In our for loop here, I can just go ahead and pass our self.food data. Okay, we'll pass an ID. It's going to be just use ID as such. And then inside here, I'm going to just pass item, pass in data, and I'm going to pass our item. Okay, just like that. Now, if I save this and all is going well, we should be able to see awesomeness. And just like that, we have our app showing all those different foods. All right, very good. So I hope you enjoyed our journey here. I know it was a little of a go here, but as you can see, it's not that hard to put together a very nice user interface that we saw on the internet, and we decided to use that as our mockup, to use that as our basis and replicate it. Okay, so I encourage you to do this. So go to dribble.com, find a design that you really like, and try to emulate this. Try to figure out how can you put it together as we did here. Remember, Z-Stacks is always going to be your friend. Thank you again for your time. Congratulations. I see you next time.